Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunda Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunda Bihari Gopidana Ballabha Grivadari Jaya Grivadari Gopidana Ballabha Grivadari Jaya Grivadari Yasodanandana Rajadanarandana Jaya Rajadanarandana Yasodanandana Rajadanarandana Jaya Rajadanarandana Yamunatiravara Shari Jaya Kunda Bihari Yamunatiravara Shari Jaya Kunda Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Kunda Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunda Bihari Gopidana Jana Balaba Grivadari Jaya Grivadari Gopinana Balaba Grivadari Jaya Grivadari Yasodanandana Rajadana Ranjana Jaya Brajadana Ranjana Yasodanandana Rajadana Ranjana Jaya Brajadana Ranjana Yamuna Dhiravarachari Jaya Kunja Vihari Yamuna Dhiravarachari Jaya Kunja Vihari Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Brahmadakacharya Asadhara Sadushi Shiman His Divine Grace Shalasi Bhaktivedanta Swami Raj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Gaur Premanande Hariva Slava Zabrani Bhakta Slava Shri Guru Shri Grangi Om Vishnu Vidaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhute Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Tenamane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharane Nirvishesha Srinivadi Paskyadyade Satarne Om Agyanata Vinandasya Gananjana Salakaya Chaksur Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam rupa kadamayam tadati swapadantikam Vandeham Shigaro Shiyuta Parakamalam Shigaram Vaishnavamscha Shirupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vidam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shiva Sakans Vidamscha Hey Krishna Karna Sindhu Dinabando Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Prishubhanu Sudadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakapa Dhruvyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyevacha Patiranam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Pranitananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya So I'm not going to read the Sanskrit because we have a lot of verses we have to read here because we just have a lot of verses. So it can say something that has any meaning. This is the translation for text number 4. Yesterday you heard that Soma, the moon god, was born from the mind of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But we find here that Soma was born from the tears of the eyes of Atri. It sounds like Kali Yuga. The mind is usually full of tears. Generates a lot of tears, so it's appropriate. For this birth of the moon is understood to have taken place in another millennium. The tears appear in the eyes because of jubilation. When tears appear in the minds of the eyes because of jubilation, the tears are soothing. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, here the word drigbaya means from the tears of jubilation. Therefore, the moon god is called Amrita Maya, full of soothing rays. So anyhow, the mind can produce soothing tears out of jubilation, or it can produce hot tears out of sorrow. So now we'll find out more. This part of the Srimad Bhagavatam, as other parts, are, if you're an astrologer, you can get very deep insights about astrology just by studying the Srimad Bhagavatam. This gives more information than all the other astrology books that I've ever read, which are quite a lot. So let's hear. We can learn astrology today. I wouldn't start practicing it though. Translation. After conquering the 3 worlds, the upper, middle, and lower planetary systems, Soma, the moon god, performed a great sacrifice known as Rajasuya Yagya. Because he was very much puffed up, he forcibly kidnapped Brihaspati's wife, whose name was Tara. So here is Soma, the moon god, kidnapping Brihaspati's wife. Brihaspati, who represents Brihaspati in astrology? Jupiter. You don't want to fool around with Jupiter. Anyhow, he kidnapped Jupiter's wife. And who's Jupiter as an avatar? Vamadeva, that's right. So Vamadeva. And who's the moon as an avatar? Yes, Krishna. And who's the sun? What's that? No, Lord Ramachandra is amongst the avatars. Surya is the a deity also, Surya Narayan. In any case, here is an interaction between the moon and Jupiter, which is not very, well, we could say Jupiter didn't find it very favorably, since the moon kidnapped his wife, and we'll find out he gives birth to a son named Buddha. And who's Buddha in astrology? Mercury. And who's the avatar of Mercury? Buddha, that's right. Buddha, you know Buddha? Lord Buddha, yes, we have a... Although requested again and again by Brihaspati, the spiritual master of the demigods, Soma did not return Tara. This was due to his false pride. Consequently, a fight ensued between the demigods and the demons. Because of enmity between Brihaspati and Shukra, and who's Shukra in astrology? Venus. And who's the avatar? Parasuram, yes. Took the side of the moon god and was joined by the demons. But Lord Shiva, because of affection for the son of his spiritual master, joined the side of Brihaspati and was accompanied by all the ghosts and hobgoblins. Purport. The moon god is one of the demigods, but to fight against the other demigods, he took the assistance of the demons. Such is the material world. Can change sides any moment. Shukra, being an enemy of Brihaspati, also joined the moon god to retaliate in wrath against Brihaspati. So why is Brihaspati and Shukracharya enemies of each other? Yes. What does that mean then? Why is Brihaspati the guru of the demigods? What does he represent? What does he? So, yeah, Brihaspati. Well, also Shukracharya represents Dharma too, but Brihaspati is the path towards the Vedas, towards elevation, towards Krishna consciousness. Well, Shukracharya is the path of enjoyment, pravritti and nivritti. Brihaspati teaches regulation, and Shukracharya also kind of regulation, but for just sense gratification. Therefore, the pastime of Shukracharya and Vamanadev. Vamanadev's the Jupiter. And here's Vamanadev, so Vamanadev coming, and Shukracharya says, don't listen to him, he's going to take everything away. He's going to take away all your material possessions. You won't be, I won't, and you won't be able to enjoy sense gratification anymore, so don't listen to him. So Vamanadev, who represents, Jupiter is his representative, who represents renunciation and surrender to Krishna. Shukracharya did not like that. So these consciousness, the original consciousness comes from the avatars, ultimately from Krishna, and they're manifested in the material world through their representatives. They're infused with the, just like Brihaspati is infused with the energy of Vamanadev, so Parashuram was infused Shukracharya with his energy. Similarly, the moon god is infused with the energy of Krishna. And therefore the moon is, in the Vedic culture, in the Vedic astrology, is the most important planet. And the sun infuses, Lord Ramachandra infuses the sun god, Surya Narayan, with his energy to rule over the universe. So we've just gone through, I think the previous chapter was about different dynasties, but before that we were into Lord Ramachandra ruling the world. the sun, and now we're into the pastimes of the moon and all these other demigods. To counteract the situation, Lord Shiva, who is affectionate towards Brihaspati, joined Brihaspati. The father of Brihaspati was Angira, from whom Lord Shiva had received knowledge. Because Lord Shiva had some affection for Brihaspati and joined his side in this fight, Sridhar Swami remarks, Angirasa sakakshat prapta vidyo hara iti prasiddha. Lord Shiva is known to have received knowledge from Angira. King Indra, accompanied by all kinds of demigods, joined the side of Brihaspati. Thus there was a great fight, destroying both demons and demigods, only for the sake of Tara, Brihaspati's wife. This is really, you think we have trouble here. They have trouble in the heavenly planets too. This world is meant for trouble. And it's always over the same thing. Boy meets girl, they fall in love. Girl meets other boy, they fall in love. First boy and second boy, they fight with each other for the girl. Both lose. That's material existence. Girl finds third boy. They live unhappily ever after. When Lord Brahma was fully informed by Angira about the entire incident, he severely chastised the moon god Soma. Thus Lord Brahma delivered Tara to her husband, who could understand that she was pregnant. Brihaspati said, "You foolish woman, your womb, which was meant for me to impregnate, has been impregnated by someone other than me. Immediately deliver your child. Immediately deliver it. Be assured that after the child is delivered, I shall not burn you to ashes. I know that although you are unchaste, you wanted a son. Therefore I shall not punish you." Purport. Tara was married to Brihaspati, and therefore as a chaste woman, she should have been impregnated by him. But instead she preferred to be impregnated by Soma, the moon god, and therefore she was unchaste. Although Brihaspati accepted Tara from Brahma, when he saw that she was pregnant, he wanted her to deliver his son immediately. Tara certainly very much feared her husband, and she thought she might be punished after giving birth. Thus Brihaspati assured her that he would not punish her, for although she was unchaste and had become pregnant illicitly, she wanted a son. Shukadeva Goswami continued, by Brihaspati's order, Tara, who was very much ashamed, immediately gave birth to the child, who was very beautiful, with a golden bodily hue. Both Brihaspati and the moon god Soma desired the beautiful child. Fighting again broke out between Brihaspati and the moon god, both of whom claimed, "This is my child, not yours." All the saints and demigods present asked Tara whose child the newborn baby actually was, but because she was ashamed, she could not immediately answer. The child then became very angry and demanded that his mother immediately tell the truth. "You unchaste woman," he said, "what is the use of your unnecessary shame? Why do not admit your fault? Immediately tell me about your family behavior." Lord Brahma then, this is Mercury, by the way. Wherever you have Mercury in the chart, you're going to get people who talk direct, intelligently. They want to find out, they're curious, they want to find out and get to the truth. But they never get to the truth because they don't have very much. People with a lot of Mercury want to have a lot of, are curious about everything. They're jack of trades, but master of none. They want to find out about everything, but they really never get deeply into anything. Lord Brahma then brought Tara to a secluded place, and after pacifying, he asked to whom the child actually belonged. She replied very slowly, "This is the son of Soma, the moon god." Then the moon god immediately took charge of the child. O Maharaj Parikshit, when Lord Brahma saw that the child was very deeply intelligent, he gave the child the name Buddha. The moon god, the ruler of the stars, enjoyed great jubilation because of this, his son. Thereafter, from Buddha, through the womb of Ila, the son was born named Pururava, who is described in the beginning of the 9th canto, when his beauty, personal qualifications, magnanimity, behavior, wealth, and power were described by Narada in the court of Lord Indra. The celestial woman Urvasi was attracted to him. Pierced by the arrow of Cupid, she thus approached him. Namo Vishnu Vidaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Taramane Namaste Saraswatam Deve Gauravani Pacharane Nirvishesha Srinivadi Paskadyade Siddharane. Maybe I'll read a little bit more, but we don't have that much time. We're in the 9th canto, leading up to the 10th canto. So here we have romance in the heavenly planets, and what appears to be illicit sex. Actually, if the moon god approached someone for initiation, then he wouldn't be initiated. He'd have to wait at least 6 months. Because he didn't follow the regular principles according to our style. But the moon god who's conquered the entire universe, well, at least he did a Rajasuya sacrifice. So what's going on? Does that mean we're better than the moon god? We follow more strictly? Because Srimad Bhagavatam illustrates principles. For instance, the principle in the Bhagavad Gita is Chatura Vida Bhajante Mam Janasritina Arjuna Artha Genasa Artharati Gyani Chaparatarshava. There are 4 kinds of pious people approach me: those who are in distress, those who want material comfort, those who are inquisitive, and one who's searching for knowledge of the Absolute. So as in this planet there are persons who are suffering, there are persons who are enjoying, there are persons who are inquisitive, and there are persons who are trying for liberation. So at least when you get to the heavenly planets, which are not the topmost planets, they're the planets where you get the results of pious fruitive activity. And so they're in the realm of karmis. Karmis go to the heavenly planets. And there is less distress, but we can see that there's also distress. But there's greater enjoyment because of pious activities. One is able to get a body where the same thing goes on, eating, sleeping, mating, defending, but in a more pleasurable and a longer way. Of course, we use the example of if you drink water out of an iron pot, or if you drink water out of a golden pot, the taste is the same. But the difference is that if you drink water out of a golden pot in the heavenly planets, you get the taste, but for a much longer period of time. The taste is not different, but it goes on more. So instead of getting a drop, you get a whole glass. But it's the same taste. Eating, sleeping, mating, defending. But the senses are more refined in the heavenly planets because the body is more refined. Only when you go upward from the heavenly planets, you get into the realm of the Jnanis. The Jignasus and the Jnanis, the Mahaloka, then you have Jnanaloka, Tapaloka, Siddhaloka, and then finally Brahmaloka. And there is a planet, Brahmaloka is the planet of the Gyanis, and the other is Gyanis mixed up with Jignasu. The practice to go to liberation, to meditation. So here on this planet, generally speaking, we have a lot of fruit of vikarmis who are suffering. And by the grace of the Hare Krishna movement, we might get some karmis. Sometimes we wonder why the devotees, so many devotees come and they take the Krishna consciousness and they leave, because they were vikarmis, they were suffering like anything due to illicit sex, meat eating, gambling, and intoxication. And they came to the Hare Krishna movement to become purified of this anxiety and stress and bodily discomfort. They followed the regular principles. They became purified by chanting Hare Krishna, and then they decided to go back and enjoy again. Because now they realized, if I want to really have a good time, then I'm going to have to be a vegetarian. And instead of eating meat to foster my sexual life, I can eat pakoras and samosas and get empowered that way. So they go back to their old ways, as Prabhupada said. They were interested in a little economic development for sense gratification. And they found that they became expert at selling, like previously, records or candles or something. They didn't have to work like a dog to eat like a hog. They learned, they got some intelligence coming from Krishna, how to make money easily and enjoy the material world. And hopefully they go to the heavenly planets so they can have a vacation there for a while before coming back at the end of Kali Yuga to be eaten by the demons and get a little serious again. In any case, here in Kali Yuga, mostly we have distressed people, vikarmis, because sinful activity is propagated. And by the grace of the Hare Krishna movement, there's a few people who get intelligence so far. They realize they have to control their senses if they actually want to enjoy the material world. And still fewer read Prabhupada's books, become a little curious about maybe there's something higher than sense gratification, and they start actually try to understand things properly, how to improve their lives. Not just how to enjoy better, but how to regulate their senses so their consciousness, their intelligence develops, their spiritual intelligence. And they could actually develop some experience in Krishna consciousness and develop their inquisitiveness. What it would be, just like if we chant Hare Krishna and we focus our minds upon Krishna and give our love to Him, then Krishna reciprocates when we chant Hare Krishna. And in Krishna's presence, we feel some ecstasy, some transcendental pleasure, and that reveals through our eyes what it says in the Bhagavad Gita. We're able to perceive more clearly that everyone actually is Krishna's eternal servant, that I'm not the only one with intelligence, with the super soul in my heart, that everyone has the super soul in their heart. Everyone is actually Krishna's servant. And then one thinks, well, one gets some realization, not only theoretically, but also by experience, and then one becomes more and more inquisitive. What's the next piece of the puzzle that I'm going to experience if I simply keep on practicing Krishna consciousness? So then one wonders what the next realization might be. One becomes inquisitive. And was willing to sacrifice something in order to either through the process of devotional service or through the process of renunciation. So Krishna becomes pleased and reveals another piece of the puzzle of Krishna consciousness. Until one day one is actually liberated and the puzzle is revealed that everyone is actually Krishna's servant, including oneself. Everyone is eternally Krishna's servant. So similarly, those who seek pleasure in the material world and they follow the process of Krishna consciousness, which means, practically speaking, in every age, there's a process, whether it be meditation in Satya Yuga or a sacrifice in this particular round of in Treta Yuga, or deity worship in Dwapara Yuga, or now we're chanting Hare Krishna. So those who are fortunate, Sumedasa, they chant Hare Krishna. But this Bhagavatam is meant to show us you can become fortunate and perform the sacrifice necessary for that particular age. And you'll get whatever we want. Unfortunately, we haven't been trained up very much for knowing what we're actually should get. From our birth, we've been trained, most of us have been trained up, get money and enjoy your senses. That's the only training, practically speaking, that goes on. Maybe children sometimes are a little inquisitive, they look in the sky and they wonder where this all came from. And then they go to school, they find out it came out of nothing. Really? Doesn't make any sense. Well, it's not supposed to. This is their mystical science. Only if you go to the university can you find out the inner mysteries, and then there you only get a hint, and then you have to get your postgraduate degrees, and then you find out by the time you get through it, you have no brains left, so you just accept it on faith, because you're a good devotee of science. That you become a true devotee, that as science says black is white and white is black, that's the truth. And if one is a little innocent, one is brought up in a fairly religious background, or at least has good pious activities, one may not accept blindly the so-called modern understanding of life that get money and enjoy your senses. So there's a whole group of people we could see in modern society. Not everyone took birth impiously. People have pious activities from their past lifetimes. And there is a whole class of people who are vegans or vegetarians, who want to protect the cows or protect animals. They want to, etc., etc. Some people refrain from different kinds of sinful activities. But basically speaking, everyone is brought up sinful. Even the devotee children, by association, if they're not carefully looked after, they also become sinful just by bad association, because that tendency was there, in their heart also. But if one is fortunate due to past activities or due to good association, one becomes inquisitive enough to actually study Prabhupada's books, come to class at least, try to understand something beyond just chanting Hare Krishna so my mind could be peaceful, so I can enjoy nicely. That we could become more empowered to eat prasadam better and better and enjoy it more. And when we go to sleep at night, we can dream of prasadam and go to sleep happily. So there is an advantage of being a devotee, even if one wants to enjoy it in the material world. Of course, there's very little enjoyment in the material world, but if you want to get any enjoyment in the material world, then become a devotee. And Krishna will give you intelligence how to do it. But if one is fortunate, read Prabhupada's books, has good association, becomes inquisitive, how do I realize I'm eternal? How do I realize Krishna? How do I experience Krishna? One becomes Jignasu. And that requires proper alignment of our consciousness, utilizing everything that's described here, our intelligence, Buddha, our wisdom, Jupiter, our material desires even, Shukracharya, everyone line it up so that the moon, our mind, is actually able to focus on Krishna and worship. Then gradually the pieces of the puzzle fit together, and our senses, mind and intelligence, they become purified, and then one can gradually become an actual jnani. And from jnani, we can actually engage in pure devotional service. Steadily. Because without jnana, without real knowledge that we're eternal and Krishna is God, then we can't get the higher taste. The pieces of the puzzle, the Krishna consciousness puzzle, will not fit together. we'll just get a little piece of the puzzle and we'll be satisfied. We've realized everything. But realizing, just like, for instance, today is Srila Prabhupada's disappearance day, Prabhupada was like the whole puzzle. And everyone who approached Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, because Prabhupada was like the Kalpavriksha tree, they got a little their piece of the puzzle. They got what they wanted. And they thought that was Prabhupada. But actually Prabhupada is a whole Krishna conscious puzzle, and he was willing to offer whatever people wanted, along with a little bit of Krishna consciousness for the most part. Prabhupada offered the whole Krishna consciousness, but because he was Krishna conscious, he could offer both. He can show what a perfect example is, at the same time people could take advantage of that perfect example, get the little bit of material or spiritual, whatever they wanted. But to understand Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada said you have to read his books. We don't get a full understanding of Prabhupada until we become just like Prabhupada. So it's like we want to enter into fire, we have to become like fire. Otherwise, we can take away from whatever our association with Prabhupada is and appreciate how wonderful Prabhupada was. But if we keep on with the process and become purified, and by Srila Prabhupada's mercy and the mercy of his followers, the mercy of Krishna ultimately, we come to pure Krishna consciousness, then we'll be able to appreciate not only Srila Prabhupada, but everyone else in the light of that transcendental experience. In any case, this Srimad Bhagavatam is like a desire tree. Whatever one wants, whatever you want to find out, is there perfectly. How to live material world happily, how to get free from distress, how to get the puzzles of our minds, or whatever curiosity we have within our minds about reality. Especially when we find out reality is unlimited, Krishna's unlimited beauty and strength and knowledge and wisdom. So, if Miss Universe was next door, wouldn't we want to go and see what she looked like? Or Mr. Universe, wouldn't we be curious a little bit? Hopefully. Oh, Mr. Universe, oh, who cares about it? If someone was about to lift up Govardhan Hill, wouldn't we want to go and watch it? Would be interesting, wouldn't it? See someone flex their muscles and lift up Govardhan. So we should be a little curious. That's why we read Bhagavatam. Get a little curious so we can actually start going beyond just our normal experience of material life. Well, of course, Krishna consciousness is not a normal experience of material life. It's a higher experience of material life. But there's something beyond material life, namely spiritual life. And the whole purpose of Bhagavatam is to give us higher and higher levels of experience of the material world, and at the same time spark our curiosity about the spiritual world, which will be fully explained in the 10th canto. So I'll stop there. Thank you. Any questions or comments? Any comments? Yes.
I'm trying to figure out exactly why these pastimes are here.
They're here because we can't understand it. Well, here. Go. She.
Yeah, I'm already done,
Oh, sorry, repeat it, because this is, you're alive, you're on the air.
I was wondering if you could explain a little bit more why these pastimes are here in this particular place in Bhagavatam and the purpose.
Well, the Bhagavatam is meant to elevate us from being a karmi, a vikarmi, to a karmi, to a jignasu, to a jnani, to a devotee. So, the pastimes of simultaneously, in order to do that, we're hearing the pastimes of the avatars and their devotees, and stories of how people have been elevated through the lowest modes of material nature to liberation, to becoming pure devotees. So here, right before we get to the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, the essence of the Bhagavatam, we could say, pure devotional service, and the devotees who are performing it, we're given we're given different things on the final elevation of karma, vikarma, karma, jignasu, and jnani. We're giving the taste of what it's like on the heavenly planets, where we have the sages, we have the demigods enjoying, and see all the problems they're going through. That it's not, even when we go to the heavenly planets, we're just going to waste our time.
Okay.
So the whole thing from Lord Ramachandra represents Dharma, to now we're into sense gratification, to we'll get into, we've already gone through Vamanadev for liberation, etc., etc. Then from the highest planet down to the lowest, they're all places of misery. There's nothing to see. Don't chant Hare Krishna, don't read the Bhagavatam, don't become a devotee, and expect to go to the heavenly planets. Try to go back to the spiritual world and not waste time anymore. Anything else? Yes. Who's going to... You also? He has a question. Does he have a question too? You're close. Okay.
Maharaj, you were mentioning Jupiter, Brihaspati representing Nivriti mark. I was attending one astrology course.
Yeah.
And this person said that the only two positive, in quotation marks probably, planets, positive for some prosperity or for enjoyment, two only positive planets are Jupiter and Venus. So Shukracharya, Pravriti and Nivriti mark together. But Jupiter is also connected with ego, and so it's a bit, if you can reconcile.
It's connected with what?
Huh?
Jupiter is connected with what?
With strong ego, as I understand. From this
strong what?
Strong ego.
Ego.
Together with dharmic vision. No? If you are influenced by Jupiter, as I understand, you have ego and dharmic propensities also. So it's a bit of
every planet, whether it be Brihaspati or Shukracharya, we can work with them either as demigods, we can work with them either as mundane personalities, or as demigods, or as avatars. When we work with them according to the standard of the avatars, like Brihaspati is the demigod level, Vamanadev is the avatar level, but we can also work with Jupiter on the mundane level according to the modes. So Jupiter in the mode of ignorance has a certain quality, although Jupiter never really, and Jupiter in the mode of passion has a certain quality. Jupiter in goodness is Brihaspati quality, and Jupiter transcendental is Vamanadev quality. So we can, every planet, every influence we have can either be in the modes of nature, or it could be liberated. So Jupiter on the lower ignorant mode, because it has the quality of expanding, quote, wisdom. So one may become expert. For instance, when Jupiter is debilitated in Capricorn, Capricorn deals with practical mundane things, such as acquiring position, status, learning how to organize the material world in order to acquire material wealth and position. So when Jupiter is used like that, one becomes puffed up, just like here the moon god also, because of acquiring so much position and power, became puffed up by their false ego. So Jupiter, when it's aimed at acquiring position, wealth, that kind of wisdom, can also make one puffed up. But any planet can get puffed up too. Even the moon god here gets puffed up due to falsely identifying itself as the controller and the enjoyer. Is that clear?
One sub-question. Shouldn't Saturn had more to do with Nivritti mark?
Saturn.
I mean, like
Saturn.
and
Saturn could. As I said, every planet has its lower mode and its higher mode. Everything in the material world is governed by the modes. So even you have Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. They have their in Ayurveda. They have there's Vata, Pitta, and Kapha in every one of the modes. So it's the modes which are over, as it says in the Bhagavad Gita, that under the influence of time, the three modes of material nature govern karma. So time, time is one thing, that's Krishna. But the three modes are the first manifestation of how the material world works, not the particular position. So one can be in any position and be either in the mode of ignorance, passion, or goodness, or transcendental. Therefore, Krishna consciousness brings us to a vision beyond the temporary goodness, passion, ignorance, to the platform of utilizing our resources to become transcendental. Therefore, Krishna says, Mam hi partha vyapashritya, Mam hi partha vyapashritya, yepi papasunaya, striyo vaishya sata shudras, tepi yanti param gatim. It doesn't matter, even if one is lower birth, if one engages in devotional service, then that's perfection, what one is doing. One will gradually be elevated to the highest level. So when we look at something, depending, we think this is good or bad. In Krishna consciousness is all good, and without Krishna consciousness is all bad. That's one of the lessons here. Purushrava, who is supposed to be full of good qualities, but how does he utilize it? He is full of good qualities, but he utilizes it for sense gratification. Therefore, he wastes his time. Even he goes to the heavenly planets eventually. It's just a waste of time. It doesn't say he went back to the spiritual world ever. Who knows where he is now? Is yasti bhakti or bhagavata kinchana savargunas tatra samasate gura hara bhaktasya katoma na guna manorate nasati davato vahi. You even become full of so-called good qualities. If you don't utilize them in Krishna's service, you just fall down and waste your time. You're hovering on the mental platform. So that's one of the things that this 9th canto will show us. These people hovering on the mental platform. They've done so much. They've been born in Treta Yuga. They have all these good qualities. So they're son of the moon god, son of Buddha, pure intelligence, and they wind up with a heavenly prostitute. They enjoy beyond what we can imagine, but they're just wasting their time. It's just temporary. Anything else? Yogats chalati manasa. As soon as one makes advancement in the Veda culture or advancement in spiritual life, then the Maya will try and defeat one by so many different allurements. We should underestimate Maya. Daivi esha gunamayi mama maya dharatya mameva ye prapadyante mayam etam tarantija. That this divine energy mind, Maya, is difficult to overcome, but those who take shelter of me easily cross beyond it. So Maya has been empowered by Krishna. So even she can bewilder, of course she didn't really bewilder Lord Shiva, but in the form of Mohini Murti, she bewildered Lord Shiva. So Prabhupada writes that one should not underestimate the power of the illusory energy. And the only way of getting past the illusory energy is to take shelter of Krishna. And that's what the material world is all about. We may glorify it or give it some kind of sentimental, place in our heart, but ultimately it's just sex life, that's all. Just I'm Tarzan, you're Jane, I'm Mickey Mouse, you're Minnie Mouse. Romeo, Juliet. That's all it's about. There's nothing else going on here, except for the opportunity to become Krishna conscious and find out the real divine couple and serve them. Yes? Is the mic working?
Hare Krishna,
Yeah.
The Bhagavatam is raising us to the platform of devotee. We usually start out with karmi, and I wonder what is how the devotee differentiates from karmi, vijnani, and jnani and jigyasu. How does the devotee differentiate?
How do they differentiate?
What's the difference? Or
between a karmi and a jnani and a jignasu
and devotee from what distinguishes
well,
devotee
we're
from
aspiring to become devotees. When we read about devotees in the Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, we can think, yeah, there I am. I remember some of my friends who became the original 11 Zonacharyas. One of my friends, he told me after he was appointed the Zonacharya, then he told me, isn't it wonderful that now I've become appointed as an acharya, and now I've become a pure devotee, and I have all the mystic powers? I didn't know if he was kidding me or what. Anyhow, we're all a little intoxicated like that. We're all imagining ourselves to be something we really aren't. It says if you put someone on the throne, they think they think they become the king or something. That the king's sitting on the throne and the bug's sitting on the throne. People coming by and offering obeisances to the king on the throne, and the bug is thinking they're offering obeisances to him. So
this question is, when you're a devotee, do they manifest themselves a little different?
well, as devotees, of course we manifest it differently, because we may have material desires, therefore we're performing mixed devotional service. But Krishna arranges in such a way that although we may have some desires for fruitive activities or we're cultivating knowledge, whatever, that he forces us to focus our mind on him and therefore experience some ecstasy, some transcendental happiness. And then we think, wow, not bad. We don't give up our material desires so easily, but then we get a little bit gradually our other motivations also there. So it's like a balance. We start developing some other motivation. We think, oh, that was really good. I wouldn't mind having that again, but I got so many other things to do. I don't have time for that. But then we think, we go through material life and we get smashed. Sometimes we get, it's material life is waste. And when we're on the bottom, we think, oh my God, we become a little humble. Maybe I should try pure devotional service again. We get free from our distress. We think, oh, I'm on the top. I don't need Krishna anymore. Krishna, help! So it's arranged like that. So as devotees, we're gradually becoming purified. Hopefully we're going from, as it says, ignorance to passion to goodness, and then finally we'll be liberated. We're going from vikarmis, our devotional service is mixed with sinful activity in the beginning. Then we follow the 4 of the principles, at least externally, and then it's mixed with anxiety, but trying to get free from it by following the principles. Then it's mixed with trying to enjoy, and the higher levels, just like Pururava or whatever, having divine eating, divine sex, divine sleeping, divine defense. And then we get into jignasu, we become mixed in with jnana, with curiosity, trying to uncover reality, the wonders of the material creation of the spiritual world. Then it gets mixed into liberation, how to have a completely happy experience of life. And then it becomes pure devotional service. So the difference is the karmis, the jnanis, the vikarmis, the jnanis, the yogis, whatever, they don't really get so much reciprocation from Krishna, because their interest is not really, they have no connection with Krishna really. But the devotee, when they have a connection with Krishna, although they're still influenced by material desires and mental speculation, because of their connection with Krishna, they're able to get both worlds, gradually purifying their experience of material existence, and also getting some more and more experience of the spiritual existence. So their path, although they may not be sometimes as elevated as the Gyanis and the Jignasus, still, because they have the auspicious path of Krishna consciousness, therefore eventually they wind up in the spiritual world rather than some heavenly planet. Or in some hellish planet. Yes?
Thank you for good lecture, Maharaj. I have questions about those planets. I was wondering, how seriously can we take our personal constellation and how this can help us on the path of getting closer to Krishna or never return?
Depends on your interest. You can take anything and utilize in Krishna service, and it'll help you. But it's not necessary. If we can just chant Hare Krishna, we can go back to the spiritual world. You don't have to find out, because then we won't be conditioned anymore. But if we're conditioned to our conditioning, to utilize our conditioning, which most of us are, and trying to figure out what kind of occupation we should do, who I should get married to, etc., then astrology has its use. It's meant for those who are conditioned, which most of us are. Now, if you're on the level of Shukadeva Goswami, no, all you do is have to hear the Bhagavatam, and you're in the spiritual world. What do you care about what your conditioning is? But if you're riding, just like if you're riding a car that's, and it's not your car, you realize it's not your car, it's your friend's car. You're driving, and the car breaks down or whatever, you're not disturbed at all, because you don't identify with the car. You couldn't care less. I mean, maybe you don't care very much. But if it's your car, and you got to drive it, you got to find out where to go, you might be interested in, getting some vision where you want to drive your car to and how to drive it there.
What type of car you are?
Yeah, it's good to find, if you think you're a Rolls Royce and you're a Volkswagen, and everyone else keeps on trying to tell you you're a Volkswagen, but you keep on thinking you're a Rolls Royce, you might feel disappointed. That you might think everyone else is in Maya, is illusions. They don't realize that you're a Rolls Royce, how exalted you are. But when you find out, astrology, actually you're a Volkswagen, but don't worry about it, because inside that Volkswagen you're a pure soul. And if you utilize this Volkswagen to drive back to the spiritual world, you'll be a lot better than if you utilize a Rolls Royce to go to hell.
Thank you.
Kuala. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Prabhupada's Maha Tirabhava ki jai. Mahotsava.
Kako vi što vi chcete s njim?